Council is holding a special meeting today to approve the city's 2022 budget. The operating budget is nearly $15 billion, and $1 billion of that is for policing. Toronto Police Service is asking for a nearly $25 million funding increase this year.
For more on this, we're joined live this afternoon by the Toronto Police Association President John Reid. John, thanks for joining us here to talk about this. So the special meeting's underway, $1.1 billion, an increase of 2.3%, but it comes after years of zeros. What do you make of this ask? I know this is coming from the chief and not you as the association president, but this ask this year, how significant is this? And do you think it's enough to do what needs to be done in the city?
So good afternoon, Nick and Jennifer. Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it. So as far as the budget goes, we're optimistic that the budget will be approved in full. It's widely recognized that, Toronto is probably the fastest growing city here in North America right now. And with that comes more complex issues. The demands are growing both on members of the service, but also on all the city staff as well. So I think it's really important for members and the public to understand the costs of an ever-increasing large city as large as ours to kind of move forward. And recent events have clearly demonstrated, the value of policing. And it's very important, I think, to kind of keep that in mind and how our members step up each and every day.
Right. And John, we know that after the death of George Floyd, many people were calling for the defunding of the police. They didn't want to see any increase. But as Nick mentioned, the Toronto Police didn't ask for an increase in 2021, and there weren't police hired, or actually the number of police officers went down by 400. In terms of transparency with how the money is spent, is there going to be more specific details as to where the money is going, what exactly is being done with it, so that the public knows it is actually being put to use in a good way?
So as far as the specific allocation of each dollar, that would be something which would basically fall to the service to determine as far as that disclosure goes. But as you kind of made the point, the last three budgets we've had have actually been 0%, which is actually essentially defunded very slowly the service. So I think the budget now, which is being proposed, is a fair budget, considering everything which the world's been going through over the last 2.5 years now, to try and keep things moving forward. And it's critical to make sure that our policing sector is funded properly, for both public safety and also member safety.
John, it's interesting. You mentioned the fact that Toronto is one of the fastest growing cities in North America, and Jen alluded to it in her question just there about, 400 fewer officers, down about 5% over the last several years. This budget, sort of an increase of about 2.3%. Is it really enough, though? Does Toronto have enough police officers, considering the size of the city, the scope of the city, and the crimes happening in the city?
So I think, as we pointed out in the budget before, ever increasingly are the pressures on police services. Obviously, there are some efficiencies which we've been working along as the association as far as shift scheduling. Mm-hmm. So we are currently in the process of piloting several different shift schedules across the service. But these shift schedules are data-driven, which is very, very important to consider. And as a result of that data, we need to make sure that specific staffing levels are met across the service. And these staffing levels will ensure that we're able to answer the calls for service when members of the public need us. And we need to make sure police officers are available in the right place at the right time when they're needed.
Mm-hmm. Right. And John, I see that according to the Toronto Police Service's website that 90% of the budget is going towards salary-related costs. And you mentioned, the collective agreement obligations because of inflation. So if this is just going to boost people's salaries, how much of the money is actually going to go to improve policing in the city? Do you really think that will have an impact?
Yes. So obviously on this budget, there are collective bargaining obligations, which the city has, which is part of it. But also you have to look at where the money is going now this time. A lot of it's going to neighborhood officers. It's going to be additional help towards hate crime. And there's some other issues as well with traffic enforcement. We also have the 81 recommendations for the missing persons unit, which once again, a lot of these are very necessary, which we need to kind of keep pushing forward with the public and to ensure public safety throughout the city.
John, you're the Toronto Police Union president, association president, but you're also a Toronto police officer. What do you make of what's happening in Ottawa right now and a sort of apparent lack of policing there? It's been 3 weeks now, and there are occupiers there, and they're not moving out.
So I can tell you, obviously our officers here in Toronto and up in Ottawa, they're professional police officers. I don't really have all the information to make any real comment on how things are being managed up in Ottawa right now.
Okay, Toronto Police Association President John Reid, really appreciate your time this afternoon. Thank you.
Thanks.
Great. Thank you for your time.